You will be given with URL, copy and paste the URL and enter after connecting to VPN. Then you will be directed to application login page. When you go for URL, simply you can add to favorites, so that simply you can go for by clicking the favorite bookmarks. We call it as bookmarks, right? So production login, support login, like we have development login, training instance, UAT login. So each URL is different. Don't be confused. All these applications are different, having different database. Database means server might be same sometimes for test instance. For production, you should have separate server. For training instance, and for development instance, for UAT instance, for every instance, you should have separate URL. If you see just now I logged into production, that is ending with 8005. If I log into support, let us see. Everything might be same, but the number will be different. See, 8006. Similarly, if you go for another instance, development instance, when you click on that, the instance number is different, 8004. So URL will not be same. So make sure whenever you are logging into, DBA will be giving URL, but it is very difficult to remember the URL. So that is the reason I'm adding to favorites and rename with your comfortable name. Like I call it as production instance, I call it as support instance, or development instance, train instance, or UAT instance. UAT for training, user acceptance test, train instance for training purpose, development for developing, means some extensions to be developed, some customizations has to be developed. So then that has to be tested rigorously. Then we have to, based on the test results, we have to go ahead with the production. So this is what, like for trial and error methods, like whatever the practice, whatever the trainings you want to give, whatever the UATs, whatever the CRPs you want to conduct. So you can have one instance and have a session. So that will be refreshed every month. The support instance, like whenever you go for support, that means I should have the production issues in the instance also, so that whenever there is a real situation where there is a real issue, that issue we can see in the test environment as well. So what happens in the test environment, whatever the support you want to give, you can give it. You can do all the activities and you can resolve by showing that to the user. You can ask them to do the same activity in production, because production we will not be doing any transaction. User is responsible for production, so we are letting them to do something correctly in production by showing the same situation in support instance. So that's what we our training has gone on support instance itself, which is nothing but a clone of real-time system that is called production. Here I'm logging into support now. So this is the URL for that. Then username and password. When you logged in, you have all the responsibilities here. Somebody says, what are the modules I am working on? So I'm working on inventory, purchasing, order management. All these modules will be here. Bills of material is one module. Similarly, we have work in process, inventory, purchasing, order management, account payables, receivables, fixed assets, cash management, general ledger, project management, customer service, okay, depot repair, code module. So all these are different modules, HRMS module, transportation management, enterprise asset management. All these are modules, okay? So everything will be here. And then let us say I'm going to the base module, that is inventory. So click on inventory. This is the responsibility. And within the responsibility, we have menus and submenus and functions. Wherever the plus icon is there, that is called menu. Menu is nothing but set of some submenu. Submenu is set of some functions. So click on any of those functions. When you expand this is called function. If you click on that and wait for some time, application will be opened completely. Okay, so it is opening. When you open the application, it will open remote forms, which are nothing but Java initiated. So these are D2K forms. What are the forms you can see here? This is called Developer 2000 D2K forms. And after that we have, now we know this, like we have to select the organization. We discussed all these things, okay, very basics. What are the different inventory organizations? And I'm going to work on WOO. This is the organization code we have given for this particular organization. Then sub-inventory transfer form will be opened because you clicked on the function. This is the form. You clicked on sub-inventory transfer, so it has opened the sub-inventory transfer form. Okay, but I'm not going to work on sub-inventory transfer. We already discussed what is sub-inventory transfer, what is miscellaneous transaction, what is miscellaneous receipt and receipt. All these basic transactions we discussed. Moving to min-max planning. Any item which has to be min-max plan means we know any company which is a manufacturing unit would require raw materials, components to manufacture a finished good. If you want to manufacture a car, you would require tires, engine, spare parts, infrastructure, stereo system, and body, chassis. All these things you would require. Brakes, steering, clutch, all these things, right? All these are sub-assemblies. Everything, brake assembly. It's not a raw material. It's not a component. Some components all together, which has been formed, which is called as sub-assembly. Assembly means your desktop is an assembly. If you open the desktop, what happens? You have hard disk, hard drive, RAMs, slots, fans, chips, panels, motherboard, case. If you open one CPU, all these are raw materials, or subcomponents, or components, or sub-assemblies. Motherboard itself is a sub-assembly. Hard drive itself is a sub-assembly. Bolt is a raw material or a spare part. Nut. So we have to understand what is component, what is raw material, what is sub-assembly, what is finished good. Finished good is entire desktop system, means which is having monitor, CPU, UPS, mouse, keyboard, pad, keypad, mouse pad. Okay, then all these things together we are calling desktop, a system. But whenever you are going for manufacturing, as I said, desktop is a finished good. To get finished good, you would require different RAMs. RAM is an item, component we call it as. Motherboard, hard drive is a sub-assembly. Of course, you would require to manufacture desktop. In this process, we have different materials, and all those materials, not necessarily raw materials, components, it can be sub-assembly. So, what are the item you would require? To manufacture one desktop, I would require one monitor. Similarly, if you want 100 desktops, you would require 100 monitors. So, whenever there is an order, customer requires certain items, certain number of items. That is, a customer orders for 100 desktops. Then I would require 100 monitors as well. But when I am doing the business, from organization point of view, organization is doing the business by selling the items to customers. But organization will not depend on only one customer. There will be many customers. When there are many customers, we will be having many sales orders. When we have many sales orders, all quantity together, the sales orders, all quantities together, we will be having around thousands of items required. to fulfill the order, to receive the cash from the customer, to receive the check from the customer who wants to buy a desktop that has been manufactured by our company. You would require to ship all these items on schedule. What is schedule? Schedule means by so and so date, customer would require this item. When they would require this item by so and so date, your order should be scheduled. There is a schedule ship date which mentions by which date it is going to be shipped. Beyond that, customer may not accept. So keeping these things in mind, I have to be ready with the inventory. If customer requires finished good, if customer requires 100 cars, 100 multiplied by 4, each car requires 4 tires, then I have to maintain 100 multiplied by 4. 400 tires you would require to deliver 400 cars. It's very simple. So, at minimum and maximum, why we are talking about minimum and maximum? Why should we maintain minimum? Why should we maintain maximum? Why can't you put a unlimited quantity? If you go for unlimited, then you have to fill your inventory with only tires. There will not be any space to store engine, to store brakes, clutch, chassis, body, stereo, deck system, all these things. That means your organization meant for all the items to be maintained. But for every item there is a limit. How many items you have to maintain in order to come across, overcome the risks? If you run out of the quantity, then what happens? Production should be stopped. There is no use. You have entire car but without tires. Can it be delivered to customer? No. So we have to make sure all the items to be maintained at any point of time. If somebody requests certain items, we should have minimum quantity. Yes, but maximum quantity also. Why? Because my store capacity is limited. It cannot be unlimited. For every item, there is a quantity can be accommodated. How much quantity can accommodate? That is important. Beyond that, if I say something, the maximum quantity is 1000. If you keep 10,000, what happens? There is no use. 10,000 items you are going to keep. For remaining items, you have to take another go down. That means it is going to increase your inventory expense. I have two buildings. Two buildings are filled with tires. To maintain engine, chassis, and all those things, I would require another building. Then I have to go for lease another building. That means it is going to increase. It is the burden to the company. It is the cost to the company to maintain another warehouse as a building. So in the same building, I can maintain all the items, but make sure what is the minimum quantity and what is the maximum quantity that you can plan. So for every item, if you go for any item, let me take one item. You take this item. It is finished good. So finished good. Every item will be having item code. So what is the item code? This is the item code. Find. When you find this item, you have organization item. You have to plan at organization level only. If you plan at master level, what happens? It will not be applicable to the organization. But every organization should have the accessibility to master. What is the purpose of master? What is the purpose of organization item? I already told you when we were discussing the inventory. Master, you can have one or multiple. The question arises, why should we have one master or multiple masters? If the company is having vast business like diversified businesses. The same company is doing healthcare, the same company is doing home appliances, the same company is doing electrical works, electronics. The items which are electronics will not be coming under healthcare or medicines. If the same company is into manufacturing of medicines, pharmaceutical company, which is a sister company. So we know the multi-org structure. The parent company will be one and will be having different sister companies. And each company is into different types of businesses. GE, I have given an example of GE, General Electricals. It is having all kind of products. It is having electrical, home appliances, and healthcare. Energy. What is energy? It is developing, you know, energy, power supply to different companies. It is selling the power also. The G energy, G aviation. What is aviation? Okay. So aviation. So manufacturing, aerodynamics. So they have aerodynamic instruments and which is meant for some defense organizations. And we have different types of businesses when you are talking about GE. The same GE, if it maintains only one master, what happens? Everything will be visible to everybody. Only one master, and we are assigning to certain organizations. But what is the purpose of having same master? Because when my business is diversified, one item will not come into another business, but all the business are coming under one business group. But we have different operating units. Within the operating units, we have different inventory organizations. Only certain organizations are accessible to having accessibility to certain items. Then we have to define all the items in the master. Then accordingly we have to assign to the respective organizations. In this process, we have master item and organization item. Every item has to be defined in the master, but that master item can be accessible by certain organizations only. So when you go for defining the item in the master, then assigning to the respective organization, that is called organization item. That's what we are saying it here. Organization item, you can see the form name is organization item here. It is the organization code. In this organization, how you are going to plan? Organization is nothing but a warehouse. Warehouse is nothing but which is having a space for keeping the stock, for keeping the items. So what is that space? How you are going to arrange that space for different types of items? If I take this item, it is an organization item. It is in Worcester. So who is the organization? Then we have different tabs. We have to define the item in the master, then assign to the organization. So we have organization item attributes, we have master attributes. See, you can see here master attributes, organization attributes. Only organization attributes you can edit, you can change. But master, you have to go to master item and you have to change it. But you cannot change master item attributes until and unless you have on hand quantity. You have zero quantity. Sorry. If you have on hand quantity, you cannot change master attributes or status attributes, but you can change the attributes from organization if it is organization level and it's not affecting item status. Then you can update. Some attributes you can update at any point of time, but some attributes you can update when the on-hand quantity is 0. It is interview question. Can you update item attributes after defining the item, after having the transactions? Yes for certain attributes, no for certain attributes. Status attributes, yes, you should not touch when you have on-hand quantity. Other than that, if it is master control, yes, there is a restriction. It is organization control, but is it accessible? It can be updatable at organization level at any point of time. So keep in mind the attributes whenever you're answering. Your answer should be diplomatic, saying that yes or no, both are correct. But yes, if you have unknown quantity and you are going to update the attribute, which is status attribute or master level attributes. No, yeah, no, answer will be no. Can you update the attribute set item after definition of the item after having the transactions? No, answer is no, provided there is on-hand quantity and the attribute that you are going to update is status attribute or master level controlled item attribute. If not, answer is yes, you can update provided there is no on-hand quantity and you are updating org level the attribute which is not status attribute or master controlled item attribute. Organization level and which is not affecting item nature, item definition. That's very important point. Then we are going to all these tabs. We are concerned about min-max planning right now. So we have to go to general planning. Here, instead of not planned, you should go for min-max planned. When you min-max, then it will ask you minimum quantity and maximum quantity. Minimum quantity and maximum quantity. Minimum quantity and maximum quantity. And after that, we have to come to purchasing. Here you have to give the price more than 0. But here we can see 0.01. Why it is 0.01? It is more than 0. Why it is more than 0? Can't you enter 0? If you enter 0, then what happens? Let us say you are planning, right? You are planning this item. That means you are planning this item whenever I want to buy or whenever I want to manufacture. Okay. Of course, if it is manufactured item, no issues. There is no list price. It's not required. If it is purchased item, yes, you would require the price. Without price, can you purchase? No. Supplier will charge something, right, when you are buying the item. So what is the price that supplier is going to charge? You are going to enter in the purchase order what is the item, what is the quantity, what is the price. If that price is 0, then what happens? Price is 0. How many items you ordered? Let us say 10. 10 multiplied by the unit price. What is the price? 0. Then what happens? The value is 0. The document value is 0. Then will you take that purchase order to your CEO for approval? CEO looks at the document. The value is 0. What does it mean? So there should be a value for the document. Then only it should go to the respective person for approval. If that person approves, then only you can place the purchase order with respect to supplier so that you can receive that item into the store. Then you can utilize that item. Okay. Now, these are very important. This is the expense account. Very important whenever you are creating a requisition or a purchase order. There is a distribution account that is getting defaulted in case you are not using subledger accounting and you are not using HRMS expense account. Then this expense account is getting defaulted based on the item that you entered in the purchase order or requisition. It's very important. These are the things we have to make sure. So after saving the record, then what you have to do? This is what at the item master and organization item, especially organization item. Whether you are planning at master level or not, it is immaterial. Why? Planning is always at organization level. You are buying the item and receiving the item at organization level, not at master level. You are buying something at operating unit level. Operating unit is above the organization level. We discussed multi-org structure. The topmost organization is business group, which is the head of the groups. Then we have the topmost company, below which we have ledgers, multiple ledgers based on the currencies, calendars, conventions, and Chart of accounts. We discussed what is chart of account, what are natural accounts, what are the chart of accounts. Then each ledger is going to have legal entity. Why are you having multiple legal entities? And each legal entity will be having at least one operating unit. Each operating unit is a company. Your purchasing, order management, or sales at our operating unit. Your payables at operating unit level. Receivables at operating unit level. Whereas your transactions of manufacturing, issuing the material, receiving the material at organization level, which is a part of operating unit. So buying at operating unit level means you can buy the items for all the organization's purpose. Organizations can be multiple within the one operating unit. How? A company can have multiple branches. If you see Tata should maintain different branches across the city. So those branches are nothing but organization. But among those branches, one branch is the one which is meant for all the organizations. Whenever they buy something for all the organization, the payments happen from one organization. Receivables, whenever a customer receives the cash, customer gives the cash, and we are receiving. Receivables department will receive the cash, will be handled at operating unit level. So organization level, item level, and sub-inventory level and operating unit level, we have all these things. We have to remember, you have to know the hierarchy of organizations. So once we come to organization level, organization itself is warehouse. Warehouse is having different partitions, and each partition is called sub-inventory. And each sub-inventory is going to have again partitions that is called row, rack, bin. That is nothing but a locator. So locator is a part of sub-inventory. Sub-inventory is a part of inventory organization. Inventory organization is a part of operating unit level units. And operating unit is a part of legal entity. Legal entity is a part of ledger. Ledger is a part of business group. This is organizational hierarchy structure. Then we plan at item level. Then we go for planning, min-max planning. Here you are going to, this is very important because planning is nothing but running this concurrent request, nothing much. So when you go for min-max planning report, in the report how we are going to pass the parameters is very important. It matters, nothing much. Are you planning at organization level or sub-inventory level? If you plan at organization level, what is the hierarchy? Have you remember? Organization is going to have multiple sub-inventories. Means some sub-inventories together, which is forming one organization. Some organizations together forming one operating unit. Some operating units together forming legal entities. That means here we have scope of two levels. One is organization level, another one is sub-inventory level. What is the main difference between sub-inventory and organization level? Sub-inventory means within the organization you are going to keep the items in different partitions. And what is that partition? And that partition meant for what items? If you want to count only, if you want to plan for those items which are existing in one partition, then go for sub-inventory. Organization means some sub-inventories together which is forming one organization. Organization is bigger than the sub-inventory. Some sub-inventories together forms one organization. When you go for organization level, this is going to be different. When you are going for sub-inventory level, it is going to be different. So here, when you go for organization level, which is nothing but considers all the sub-inventories, at the same time, whether the item is purchased item or manufactured item, both will be considered when your planning level is at organization level. If you plan at sub-inventory level, it will plan the items which are Purchasable items means purchasing items. Purchased items are planned at sub-inventory level. Why? Because you are going to receive those items and keep in the store, whereas manufacturing should be at organization level. So that is the reason. In case if the item is manufactured item, if you plan at the level of organization, then only it creates for manufactured items, it creates discrete job. In case your planning level is sub-inventory, and sub-inventory meant for keeping the items that you purchased at the same time manufactured. After manufacturing, you can keep that item, but manufacturing itself should be processed at the plant. That plant is nothing but a warehouse. Warehouse is nothing but inventory organization. So manufacturing should happen at organization level, and purchasing can be at sub-inventory level. But when you plan at organization level, it is going to consider the planning engine is going to consider both manufactured items and purchased items. This is very important question. Item selection, we have the criteria. So in which one of the criteria is items under minimum quantity. If I say some item for which minimum quantity is 100, maximum quantity is 1000. Okay, if I have the quantity 90, that means for that item we have to bring the quantity to 1000 maximum. So whatever the item which is having the quantity less than 100, you should plan accordingly so that item quantity comes to maximum level, that is 1000. This is what the criteria. You can see many criteria, like you can see when you click on this. Okay, let me select the organization level. Then you go for item selection as items under minimum quantity, items over the maximum quantity, all min-max planned items. Okay, accordingly you will select. Items under minimum quantity means system checks what is for what items which is having the quantity of less than the minimum quantity that you entered in the general planning tab. After selecting the min-max planning, what is the minimum quantity and what is the maximum quantity? It will check with that quantity. Okay, category set. Is it inventory category or purchasing category? Whatever it may be. So, like this. Planners, if you have planner, these are optional fields. But what is planner? What is buyer? Buyer who wants to buy. In an organization, everybody cannot be a buyer. From the purchasing, certain users only buyers. That means those persons are set up as buyers. If something has to be bought, then we should intimate by raising a requisition. By getting the approval of requisition, we should inform to our buyers saying that I would require certain item. Why can't you buy this item based on your planning? It is running out of stock, so we have to bring the stock. For bringing the stock, it is purchased item. You have to buy it. If it is manufactured, work order should be created or discrete job. Work order or discrete job, both are same. Then sort by. What are the results you are going to get? Sort by. What options we have? Is it by planner? Is it by buyer category or inventory item? So whatever it may be, you take it as per your requirement. Demand cutoff date and demand cutoff date. These are very important. Demand cutoff date. See, these are the parameters. These are the parameters we have to. Demand cutoff date means what? Demand means what? Somebody asks the item, company should provide the item. Whoever is asking is a customer to the company. When there is a customer order, that is called demand. That means whenever there is a sales order, that comes under demand. Somebody wants the item, that comes under demand. Okay, that means by what date customer would require this item. What is the scheduled ship date for this item from the customer? If customer says I would require by month end, means by 31st I would require the item. So should I consider the item's demand till 31st of this month. That's what demand cutoff date. Beyond that, if you have something, you park it. No need to worry. So this is what cutoff date, demand, supply. Similarly, there might be some job orders, some work orders might have created, which are in process. That is called supply. Supply source means through which, by means of which you are getting the item into the inventory. Okay, then supply, that is supply, and we have the demand by which we are going to get our item out of our warehouse. Demand means if somebody wants the item, that is demand. So to fulfill the demand, I have to supply. In what means of supply? By creating a discrete job which will manufacture a finished good. Manufactured finished good will be coming back to sub inventory from where we are going to ship to the customer based on his requirement. So include PO supplies. POs are coming under supplies because when there is a PO, you are going to receive the item. That means there is a supply. When there is a sales order, you are going to ship the item. That means item is going out. Item is going to decrease. Item quantity is getting decreased. Demand. So move order supply. In case if you have a move order, by raising a move order, move orders are two types. One is transfer, one is issue. When you do the transfer, you are transferring from one sub-inventory to another sub-inventory. Means there is a source sub-inventory from where you are getting the item. That means if there is a move order through which you are getting the item from one sub-inventory to another sub-inventory, from where you are getting, that is called supply. So this is what you want to include WIP supply. Yes, already you might be having some discrete jobs have been created for certain item through which you are getting thousands of items. Should I consider that or not? Yes, I should. If it is manufacturing 1,000 items, I should keep somewhere in sub inventory. I have to locate. I have to accommodate the items with certain space. All these things we have to. Lot control item, display format. These are general things, but these are very important. What we discussed till now. And after that, click OK and submit. Then what happens? When you click submit, what happens? It will create a requisition. Why? That is what min-max planning does. Here, if you see min-max planning, I forgot to tell you one thing. When you open this one, restock, yes. When there is a, where is that? Yeah. When there is a restock, no. What is restock? Means bring the stock again. That is called restock. If you put yes, and you are initiating the approval process, means the moment you create a document type called as requisition or purchase order, the document should be approved. That means for approval, you should initiate the hierarchy, purchasing hierarchy. That's where we are going to use position hierarchy or employee supervisor hierarchy. So restock, you have to put yes. It's very important. It's a very important question. What is the importance of restock? Restock means bring the quantity again in case the item quantity is less than the minimum quantity. Bring the quantity by buying the item from the supplier. Or if it is manufactured item and you planned at organization level, create discrete job to get some items, finished good items. That much. Then once you submit this, okay, then what it does, it creates a requisition. It runs a concurrent request. Okay, after submitting, if you see here, one request will be running. Requisitions will be created. So requisition will be created, but you should know what is the requisition number. That number you should find out from the purchasing module. Switch responsibility to purchasing. In the purchasing, we have requisition summary because requisition will be created the moment you initiate the planning engine. So to find out the requisition, you should go to requisition summary. Requisition summary. When you go for summary, then it will ask you the details of Type, not required. Import source, it's very important. Import source, from where you are going to import. Is it from inventory? Yes. Min-max planning is a part of inventory. So if you would have submitted that concurrent request of min-max planning, then it will show you inventory here. You have to select and find. When you find something, when you click on find, then what happens? You will get all the results, which are the requisitions created. Okay. So once you get all the requisitions, you have to see the requisition numbers and dates, and based on that you are going to find your requisition, and your requisition will be processed for purchasing. Means what? Requisition will be imported and approved. Once approved, you have the eligibility to prepare PO. That purchase order will be having all the information that has been copied from the requisition. Once the purchase order has been created, you are going to receive the item against the purchase order. When you receive it, you store it in sub inventory. So this is how we are going to utilize the planning engine. So we discussed. Now it is your duty to do the transaction by defining an item in the master, and make sure you're applying the template, whether it's a purchased item or manufactured item. Then assign to the organization, go to the respective organization attributes, and make sure in the general planning tab we have the min-max planning with minimum quantity and maximum quantity. And after that, come to the purchasing tab, enter the expense account, which is nothing but a distribution account. Then you go for list price should be more than 0, because if it is 0, requisition will be worth of 0. 0 means anybody can approve. But whenever you are going for CEO approval, it should have some value. So CEO cannot approve 0 value document. So it's very simple. So then once the definition is over, setup is done, min-max planning. Then you go for min-max planning concurrent request. So where you have certain parameters to be entered, and those parameters you have to set it. Then you go ahead. It will run the requisition. So before that, in order to see the requisitions in the requisition summary, you have to import the requisition. For that, there is a concurrent request, requisition import requisition, that you have to run, so that you get the results. Then make sure that is getting converted as PO and sent to supplier. Receive the goods, pay the item, pay the amount to the supplier. This is what mean max planning. And apart from that, so it is stuck. Let me open some instance. Okay, you can open multiple instances as well. Okay, so when you enter the same thing, so if I open the application by clicking the function, you have to wait till it opens completely. Have patience and give some time to the system to react. Else, if you keep on clicking, then system stucks. So don't do that. Okay, it's still searching because we are not given any parameter. So that is the reason. Whenever when you want to search, give some parameters so that it filters the data. Then in the organization level, we have in the inventory, we have shipping networks, which is very important for inter-organization transfer. If you go to setup, we discussed all this earlier, just I'm reminding because it's very important. Shipping networks. Here you are going to see which organization I want to see for one. Who organization. So here from this organization to which organization you can supply, or at this organization from which organization you can receive the item. That setup, this form talks about that setup. Okay, if you find what are the setups there for this particular organization with respect to other organizations, can you receive the item, can you ship the item from WOO? So it is very important, can I ship it or not? So how much you have to pay? All these things will be covered here. See, from this organization to this organization. Similarly, if you scroll down from WOOST, from WOO to different organization codes. So in transit and direct. What is direct in transit? Direct means somebody has raised the PO. Directly you can receive into the sub inventory. In transit means we are going to track by making a receipt. So which is nothing but a proof of the receiving process. So that is very important. And fee on board, what is that? What is fee on board? Fee, how much we have to collect for boarding this item, transportation or additional charge, whatever it may be. So all these things, receipt routing is very important point. And what is routing? I discussed already, standard, direct, inspection. You should know what is direct, what is inspection, what is standard. Standard is 3-way, inspection is 4-way, direct is 2-way. Okay, now any transfer charge whenever you are charging for the transfer or transportation, whatever it may be, that much value you can charge to. Primary accounts, transfer credit, purchase price variance. Whenever you are doing the transactions, there is a scope of having a variance. What is variance? You should know what is variance. As per standard, for a car to manufacture a car, you would require 4 tires for manufacturing one car. But for the same car, you consume 6 tires. That 2 tires extra is nothing but deviation from the standard, which suggests 4 tires, but you incorporated 6 tires, which is non-standard. Okay, when you go for more than the required, that is getting calculated. That is what we call it as variance. It is nothing but deviation from the standard. Okay, but what is the variance of purchase price variance and invoice price variance? We have two types of variances here. Purchase price variance. You buy something for agreed price, you receive something with a different price. Then what is the difference? That will go to this particular variance account. Similarly, we have invoice variance. You buy something, you book the purchase order, sorry, you approve the purchase order with a price, and you invoiced, let us say you bought the item for $10, and you paid $110. That $10 is the variance difference, will be captured in invoice price variance when you make a payment if that differs from what you agreed in the purchase order. That is the difference. That is the deviation. That is the variance. Secondary accounts. We have interrog payables, interrog receivables. Why? If you are transferring from Tata Nano plant in Gujarat to Hyderabad plant to sell the items to Hyderabad locality persons or customers, then you have to transport. You should have transportation from Gujarat to Hyderabad. If Gujarat is shipping the item, that means sales order has been created in Gujarat. That means internal sales order is there. That means when there is sales order, somebody has to pay. So here, both are our organizations only. So that is what we call it as ISO, internal sales order, IRISO. That means internal requisition and internal sales orders. These are very important. interrog receivables and interrog payables. It's very important. Why? Because if you're shipping the item, you're concerned about receiving. The receiving organization at the same time, if Gujarat organization is shipping the item to Hyderabad organization, both are from Tata. So definitely the receiving organization should transfer the amount to Gujarat. Similarly, Gujarat should receive that. So receivables of Gujarat and payables of Hyderabad should be affected. So that is the reason we should have interrog receivables account, interrog payables account. Other accounts, we have in transit account. What is in transit account? In transit means on the way, not at received. It is on the way. Okay. So now we got these results. Okay. Let's complete this. The subcontract transfer price. For transferring, you want certain price to be carried with the transaction. That price, the shipping organization is having a price list, right? That price list will have this item with a price. With that price, it will be transferred. Just a minute. Okay. This is what is very important here. Then we have the items which are purchased items. We'll be buying the items from different suppliers. When there is a supplier, no issues, because you can straight away you can ask the supplier to supply the items, and here is the document that is called purchase order. So based on this order, you have to supply. That's fine. But the same item will be supplied by the organization. At the same time, the same organization cannot suffice total quantity. Means what? That organization, if we depend on Gujarat is not going to send required items. It is sending. We would require 1,000 items, but Gujarat is sending only 500. What about remaining 500? Is that 500 quantity can be supplied by another supplier? That you have to check. Is it internal or external? Internal, Gujarat kind of organization. External, a supplier, a party, third party. So when you go for third party, that means first preference you have given to internal company, then second priority you have given to the supplier, external party. So when you get such a situation, to handle this situation, we have sourcing rules. When you go for purchasing, in the in the purchasing we have supply base, in which we have approved supplier list. What is approved supplier list? If you want to buy something, that item should be bought from an approved supplier, means the supplier who is trustworthy, who always ships the item on time, no delay, good service, and good payment terms. Means what? He gives the credit to us. He ships the item and he would expect the payment after 2 months. So terms we have. So who gives the good credit And trustworthy, that means he ships the item on time, no delay. So flexible. So all these factors going to decide whether that supplier is going to be approved supplier for us or not, or normal supplier. If you want to restrict your buying to a approved supplier, you can see here for every item we have, for this item let's check. For every item, when you go for item, you can restrict to, in case let us say this item is a purchased item. Okay, when you want to purchase this item, you want to restrict to your company educators to buy this item from only approved supplier. That means you can restrict this to use approved supplier. If you check this checkbox, system will stop you in case that supplier is not an approved supplier, not an approved supplier. How you are going to decide who is approved supplier? In the supplier base, we have approved supplier list. Here we are going to call whoever is the supplier for one particular item. What is the item? You enter the item. For this item, over all the suppliers, you have to enter one by one here. Then status should be approved. Okay, so status should be an approved. Once you select this item, mandatory fields to be entered, then come here, then enter one by one suppliers. When you have multiple suppliers, means what? When you have multiple suppliers, you will have with whom should I buy? So I want this item. This item will be supplied by multiple suppliers. What is the priority list of suppliers? Which supplier should be preferred? And next, who is the first rank? Who is the second rank? Third rank? Fourth rank? First rank person I would prefer. If he is not willing to supply, then I go for second, third, fourth. That means once you define all the suppliers, then you go for sourcing rules. When you go for sourcing rule, okay, here you are going to call this sourcing is a type of transfer or make it or buy from. Can you see that? This transfer from. This sourcing is when you want something, this should be transferred from another sub-inventory. This item will be existing in another sub-inventory within the same warehouse. I have to get it from transfer. That is transfer from. In case make it, what is make it? Manufacturing is happening at organization level. So if Hyderabad is there, it would require item Tata Nano. It should have intimation to the Gujarat people saying that to manufacture Tata Nano quantity, because in the whole, in the country we have only one place to manufacture Tata Nano. If Hyderabad Tata plant would require certain Tata Nanos, it should intimate. That means make at Gujarat. Then you have to make it, select your Gujarat organization code. That's it. There is no supplier. Supplier will be there in case you are buy from. That's it. When you buy from, if you have multiple suppliers, select supplier 1, supplier 2, supplier 3, but give the ranking 1, 2, 3. So that what happens? System easily identifies the supplier. When you have for one item, you have multiple suppliers. The supplier who is having the first rank will be preferred. Okay, I prefer first rank. But first rank supplier will supply only 75% of items. In case you would require 1000 items, let us say, the supplier can fulfill only 750. But you would require really 1000 items. How can I survive? Remaining 250 I will be getting from second rank supplier. That is how system treats. Based on the sourcing rule, system goes with the next supplier, and accordingly it splits and it routes the document to the respective supplier. This is what auto sourcing. But auto sourcing, you would require contract purchase agreement What is contract purchase? If you have contract purchase agreement with respect to these suppliers, then I can make use of that contract purchase agreement. Then I will go ahead to buy the item from the supplier. Sometimes BPA. What is BPA? Blanket purchase agreement. So we have agreed amount and you have certain contract saying that whatever the item I want, I will ask you and you have to supply. I have agreed the amount of 1 million, let us say. Till you reach 1 million, you keep on sending the items whenever I want certain item. Once you reach to 1 million, then I will make a payment. So I might have paid some advance. Once my requirement, my item reaches quantity required reaches to 1 million, then you can ask for the payment by considering my advance or whatever it may be based on the terms and conditions. Okay, we have this one. Then this is the sourcing rule. Then every sourcing rule should have assignment sets. If you go to assign sourcing rules, okay, every sourcing rule, when you go for different sourcing rules, we have assignment set. What is the importance of assignment set? What are you define here? What is the organization? What is the item category? And everything. And there is a bills of distribution. What is bills of distribution? If you see bills of distribution here, the same thing for this item from this is, you see, if this item is transferred from another organization, it should be here like this. It should be always transferred from NCD, not from this is another organization code. Whenever you want this item, get the item from another organization. That's it. Our branch only. Our sister company, not from supplier. Buy from supplier if you want something purchased item. Okay, rank 1, you see 100% you should get it from another organization because that is manufactured or that is kept in NCD, but NCD will be having all the stock. You get from our organization only. Don't get it from any more suppliers. So these sourcing rules, assignment sets, and bills of distributions are going to suggest to the system how we are going to procure. So auto sourcing or min-max planning, whatever it may be, it is going to create a requisition. That's it. Once a requisition is approved, convert to PO by auto create functionality. Or in case it is the first time you are buying, then you can go ahead with RFQ. Start negotiating with different suppliers. Negotiate. Have RFQ. Request for quotation. Then get the quotations from different suppliers. Compare the quotations by doing the quote analysis. Decide the best quote. Decide the best supplier. Then go for purchase order with respect to that supplier and approve the document. You know that procedure. How we are going to create purchase order from the requisitions. How we are going to get the approval of that purchase order. Before approval, you have to enter the shipments. You can have multiple shipments and each shipment can have multiple distributions. You have seen this, all this in purchasing class. So this is very important, you have to remember. Okay, and after that, one more suggestion from my side. So whenever you go for applications in the real time, first of all, you would require anytime if you go for support, you have a support site, open the Internet Explorer. If you check for Google, we have Oracle support, my Oracle support. Check for this site. Okay, when you go for my Oracle support, okay, now here you have my Oracle support. Click on that. So this is the site. Okay, sign in. You should have username and password. If you don't know, then create an account. Don't have an Oracle account, you can create free account. Of course this is client given, but here you can see free account gives you access to Oracle online application services, support events, communities and more. Create account by clicking this and it will ask you the details. Enter the details and make sure you are having the free account. The same free account you can use sometimes You can go for demos and they give some real-time scenarios or enhancements in real release 12 functionality or the latest version of release 12. What are the better functionalities it is having? It will send you the videos. So, or otherwise you can access to certain documents. Very importantly, if you are working for client, then definitely they will give an username and password that you have to enter. My Oracle support. Okay, sorry, which you have to come out of. Username password. I have already shown you the service requests and how we are going to coordinate with Oracle Corporation for certain issues that we are unable to solve it when we face the issues from the user community. That's what I have shown. Like we have to log into my Oracle support, then have interaction with the by raising a ticket. It's P1 or P2 or P3, priority 1 or priority 2 or priority 3. Priority 1 means that has to be rectified, which is affecting our business badly. So it has to be rectified so that business will be smooth. So apart from that, we have supporting tool like AMS. I told you we are using ConnectWise. So ConnectWise is the AMS application management system. You have same time you have ConnectWise. Earlier I used so many. Okay, but I forgot the names. So let me every support instance will be having the same kind of concepts. So the moment you give the username and password, it will connect and you can see what are the tickets have been raised from the user community by the user community, and those tickets are assigned to you, or it is in the process of assignment, or it is a new ticket. And if you feel that that is relevant to you, get it assigned to you, take the ticket and resolve it. Keep suggesting the solution to the user, or try something in the support instance, or go to the user and show to them how it has to be done. So once it has been connected, so it is loading. Once it is connected, then you can see all the tickets. Then one by one ticket you have to attend. Okay, so let it come. This is how like we do the we work on the user activities, and apart from that we have real-time situations like what kind of support issues. Some support issues cannot be resolved. Means what? Something has to be done, developed. How to develop? So what we are going to do, that we are going to discuss by tomorrow. But for today, so this is the ConnectWise. Once we have logged in, you have service tickets, 15 number assigned to you. Click on this. When you click on this, it will open all the service requests which are assigned to you. When it is assigned to you, you can see all the ticket names and there is a description. So a summary of description. This is the ticket number and we have some description, some subject line. So if you open this, let us take for example, default account being used in purchasing means distribution accounts are getting defaulted, but they don't want. But they have SLA, there is a workflow which is route which is intact and which is defaulting some accounts which are not relevant and is not editable. That is the issue here. So remove cancel lines from the PO document. How to remove the cancel lines from the PO document? It is very simple. When you cancel the line, it should disappear from the purchase order. That is their concern. And sometimes what happens, issue with closing. Some RMA they created, they closed it, means they received the item, but still it is not closing. The status is not changing to closed. When we are trying to close it, it's not letting us to close because there is something. So we couldn't find what is that issue. We are working on that. So scrap, there is a report development they would require. There is a report requirement here. So they want certain report which shows the data as per their requirement. There should be some columns, there should be some headings, there should be some parameter. Based on date parameter should I get the output, or certain job numbers for certain whenever they perform manufacturing certain scrap. Scrap means due to some manual defects, so some portion of the item scrapped, so means removed, and it's going to be wasted. So that's scrap. So how much has been scrapped? I would like to know, especially general managers, all those guys. So how much they are producing per day? How much is getting scrapped? If scrap is more, then we have to shut down the company. So this is how, that is the management report they want. So like this, whatever they want, they will first raise the ticket. If it is really a problem, then we have to resolve it. If it is not really a problem, it is information, just go there, have a knowledge transfer, then close the ticket. When I want to close the ticket, simply I will go there, click on this. Okay, then I click on this particular, I can close it. Simply status close, provided you have provided a solution. If you want to write something, click on the link and it will let you to write something. You can write something here if you want to suggest something, and then save it. After saving, then you come here. In case you are closing and you are changing the status, you are awaiting your customer response, change it. In case it is assigned, it is in your court. Ball is in your court. You have to throw the ball into their court. So change the status, then save the record. That's it. So status will be visible as customer awaited. So definitely our manager will be happy as long as the ball is in their court. If it is in our court, we are responsible. We have to react to them. So this is very important. We have to take care of that. Okay. Now, this is what, and we have all the services. These are the tickets assigned to you. And in case you want to see all the tickets which have been raised, irrespective of supply chain management, manufacturing, or anything, then we have service board. We have all the tickets here with respect to all the modules, finance, HRMS, all these. This is what we can see here. Okay, all these tickets. See all the users here, the different users. Okay, all these people will be working here. So this is what, like, after that we can exit, log off. That's it, over. So this is how we are going to see the tickets and handling the tickets. Tomorrow we will discuss so the rest of the implementation, what are the different phases, and at each phase what you are going to do, and what are the documentations you require, and what till you reach to support level, what kind of support issues, some of the support issues like to be developed, how you are going to approach. Okay, so those things we will be discussing tomorrow. Okay.